Hello and welcome to week 2 of my game dev diaries. Woo! Right, I recorded this the other day actually, weirdly. This is a re-record because my initial recording was like really depressed because I couldn't get stuff working. And then I spent a day and a half just going, fuck you, I'm gonna get it to work, and I've got it working. The thing in question is saving and loading. You'd think it'd be simple. Apparently it's not to my brain. If I look at my calendar, all I can see is that after the dev diary, I have a HUD, basic HUD within the game. This just allows me to display some things so I can start getting binding working to variables and stuff like that. I have a pause menu working. Woo! This is partly also to help the save load system, so I need to have a pause menu to be able to go back to the main menu to be able to test whether or not when I press continue does the stuff load up as I want it to. For most of last week, no it didn't. I like this. Wednesday 12th I have started save system, nothing else on my calendar. Thursday was a day off because I went out drinking on Wednesday night. Friday was I did my two-part puzzle system. It's a bit of the basic premise is that you have two players. They're not two actual players, but they are two characters you can play as. Think, for example, Wallace and Gromit Curse the Were-Rabbit, but more extreme. So you have a really little character and quite a large character, and they have different abilities and stuff like that. So the idea is that you use both of them to get through. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, that sort of stuff. I'm not trying to break any amazing barriers for innovation or anything like that. I'm not trying to do that with this game. It's my first game. I'm not trying to do that. So I have a two-part puzzle where you have a little hole in the wall and the door, and then you press the button with either character and the door will open, but as soon as you move away the door shuts. So the idea is that you get your little character, the smaller one, to press it, the big guy walks through, and the little guy then just moves through the small gap that's already there, and that's part of the puzzle. So that'll be the sort of thing that I'm going for. It also says working more on a save system. Saturday's great. It says got saving, and then underneath it says nope. And that's when I realised I needed to strip it back completely. I was trying to integrate a save straight into the systems I already had, and it wasn't working properly. So I stripped it back, and yesterday I got saving working properly. It's really simple. Literally, all you do on the main menu is type in a name for your character. Could you stop being so fucking windy? Type in the name for your character, and then when you press enter it'll save that. So I just generally use Fluffy Butt. And then when you get into the game it then displays it as part of the HUD. And I can change it, I can go out and come back in, go out, come back in, and it'll work. I've also written up the save logic sort of flow. So I know how stuff is going to work. I'm going to have different save slots for options, main menu, blah 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 blah, to make sure that all the relevant bits are saved. And I feel that if I get this working now, I will have less problems than I would if I was trying to integrate it later on when I've got lots and lots and lots of layers to my systems, and it's a lot more complex to try and just shove something in. I don't think it would work, so I thought I'd get this working now and I can layer it up. It also means I can start thinking about what variables I need to save and what I don't need to save, what can just be stored locally or just be run at runtime. Or even hard-coded. I mean, some variables I don't need because I know the value of them and the value's not going to change at runtime. I don't need to save it, it can be hard-coded and that variable always stays the same. It's constant. That, for example, is things like the maximum amount of collectibles in the level. That I don't need to save. Saying that, I might. Actually, I will need to save it. Just think about it. If I want to display it anywhere else in menus where I'm not in that level, I'm going to need to save it. So I will need to save that as a variable. So this point it gets really complicated. The idea for this week is to start rebuilding the systems again, and actually get them working with all the time, working with the save load. And once I get my collectible system working, so that I can come out of a level after having collected stuff and come back in and collect them again, I'll feel a lot better. And I'm almost on my way to having a minimum viable product. As a minimum amount of stuff I need to be able to actually sort of go, look, here's a game, as it were. Looks like us. It doesn't have an art style. It's like prototype art right now, and it's not fun. like it needs a lot of like puzzles. Like it is built around sort of adventure puzzle platform with collectible aspects, so it needs puzzles, and puzzles take a long time to make. But the minimum viable product has one puzzle in there, so done, has a room, it needs a death and a win state, and it needs a save load system, just to show off that it doesn't necessarily need it, but it will require it to be able to show that everything else is working. And then I'll have it, which for me is great, because on my timeline I have this taking about 1 to 2 months to do, and this was based on the idea that I'd only be able to work on it, let's say, at weekends or odd evenings, because I'm going to be at work. As it is, my new job doesn't start until 1st September, so woohoo, I've got a whole month off. And so I'm progressing really, really quickly, which I'm really, really happy with. After I get my minimum viable product, I'll be working on art stylings. And so you'll actually start seeing more stuff. I might actually be able to show you more of the screen rather than just my face. Stuff in the background is some of my older artwork. It's just some clouds. I can actually go. Not amazing stuff, but working on it. I'm getting really big into my pixel art style right now. Right. Other than that, not much else to say for this week. Other than that, if you enjoy my stuff, which I don't think anyone watches my stuff, probably because I don't post it that many places, subscribe to my channel. These go up weekly. I should be getting back into YouTube stuff. I've literally, my new job's only starting soon. I moved down to Swansea, as I said last week, like really recently. So sort of there's boxes everywhere and stuff. But I will be putting up videos on channels kind of dedicated towards game dev and games I find interesting, and games that I can do sort of round by round basis. So things like Nuclear Throne, Binding of Isaac, Rocket League can do. I don't particularly, unless I'm just doing a game recommendation, like doing full Let's Plays, which may be hypocritical if anyone actually saw my channel a few months ago, because I had a load of videos on there. I've deleted them now. I don't like the idea of doing a full Let's Play of a game, because I've experienced it myself where I've watched the Let's Play and actually been less inclined to buy the game. Because I know what's happening. And in a highly story-focused game, that's really disappointing. In more open-world games, that's fine, because then there's those little nooks and crannies. Unless someone's doing a full 100% complete run, generally I won't find that interesting anyway, because it's really boring. But there's always going to be nooks and crannies in open world games. Witcher 3, for example, which I haven't bought. I'm not massively interested in it. It's too big. I'm never going to experience it all. It's too big for me. But I'm going to try and do like sort of game by game stuff. So Nuclear Throne, Rocket League. I can get some Risk of Rain in there, mainly because I love the art style and the game's pretty cool as well. I might even try and find some games that are similar to my own, that I'm creating. That would be quite cool. As I said, I'm not trying to innovate. I'm really not. And I recently watched the GDC talk, which showed about the idea that your story has been done before. Your book has been written before. Your film has been shot before. Your poetry has been spoken in prose. The idea of that everything we've like think, oh, that's so cool. Oh, it's a really great idea. Actually, it's probably been done before, but that's not meaning that you shouldn't do it. Yeah, go ahead, make it. It's cool because everything can be put on a different twist. Yeah, it went with the idea of Snow White, and went with several different versions. Last version, which was like, wow, that sounds like completely different, but its basic premise is the same thing. So as long as you can put just your spin on something, go ahead, do what you want. Other than that, have a good week, and I'll see you next week.